everybody, it's Emily from Life Sew Savory, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make a double enclosed zipper. And one of the ways you could use that is to make a cute laptop or tablet or Kindle cover where the zipper is enclosed on both sides, and then you have a fun case. So I'm going to be creating something very similar to this, but also showing you the technique of enclosing the zipper on both sides and also the bottom. And I just had a terrible fight with my machine trying to make a bobbin. So I hope that is not an indication of how today's show is going to go, because I seriously messed up threading a bobbin like 4 times, and now there's thread all around the post of my bobbin spool, and I don't know what happened. It's nothing like that has ever happened before, and then I just had like 3 mess ups. So take a deep breath, restart, and I'm hoping that we have a lot more success today with what we want to sew as opposed to what I was just doing. So let me go ahead and just do a couple shares here, and then we're gonna go ahead and yeah, get ready to sew something fun. So say hi, let me know you're stopping in. I'd love to hear what you're up to today. And it's been a fairly uneventful day, except for the past like 3 minutes where I was trying to get organized for my show. Actually more like 10, because I was all ready to go, and then, you know, I was late because I couldn't thread a bobbin. Yikes. Okay, so yeah, I'm just hoping it's not one of those days and that it's all good once we get going. So anyway, I'm just gonna grab the link here and do a couple of shares, and then we are going to get started. So if you're just joining, I was saying at the very beginning that I'm going to show you how to sew a double enclosed zipper, like on this computer case that I made. And the zipper is enclosed on both sides, and you can use it to make tablet cases or Kindle cases. I'm gonna make a little Kindle size one today. And it won't have straps, but you can see on this one how I added the straps for a little carrying case. And I'm also not gonna do this outside pocket, just because to sew this whole thing would take me a while, and I think the directions are pretty clear for sewing the outside pocket. So I have linked for you guys the link to the tutorial for that whole project if you want to check that out, and the link is in the description of this video. So you can go ahead and check that out, and then what is it doing here? This is not what I want to do. Sorry, I don't know why this isn't working, so maybe we're not going to share that. Huh. Okay. I don't know. I guess I didn't log into that and check it ahead of time, and I can't figure it out now. So not going to do it while you guys are watching, and if less people watch because I didn't do my shares, then so be it. That's what we're going to have this morning. So I'm glad you guys are here. And it's a chilly day here in Colorado. I think a lot of the US is in a very chilly phase right now, so it's probably also cool where you are. But like I said, I'm going to show you how to create this double enclosed zipper. And so the things that you will need are a zipper. I like using one that has pulls on both ends. so that just I can zip it from either side, but you don't have to. But this is a double-ended zipper, a double-ended separating zipper, but we're actually gonna get rid of this separating part on the bottom, because this is for like if you were using on a jacket. Okay, and I just had this in my stash, so that's why it's this lovely tan color. You also need 4 pieces of fabric cut with a 1.5 inch seam allowance around what you are making. So should be 1.5 inches wider and 1.5 inches longer than the size of your device. And again, all this information is in the blog post. And then, so I have 4 of those, 1, 2, 3, 4. Then you're going to cut fusible foam, 2 of them, that is, you know, smaller than your fabric for a seam allowance. And I'm gonna try something a little bit different than I did in the photo tutorial, just, you know, because I like to try crazy things live for you guys, but also because I want to see if it's easier to insert the foam after we've sewn the fabric to the elastic, or if it's easier like I originally did, which is to fuse the foam to the fabric before you sew it. So we're going to experiment with that. You also need 2 long strips of fabric. They should be the width of your zipper and about the length of the bottom of your device, plus a little bit extra. And I'll give you more about that. Definitely want it a little bit longer than your fabric. So you can see that my strips of fabric are longer than this. And then you'll need a little piece of foam to put on that bottom area if you want it padded. So you can see right here, that's that long strip of fabric. And if you want that to be padded for your project, then you'll need to cut a little piece of foam that will go in there. And again, I'm gonna try to do this just a little bit different because I want to because I want to, what was I gonna say? I don't even know. I don't know why this isn't working. None of my profiles are on there. Well, huh. It's weird. This doesn't look anything like I normally do. Okay, whatever. I tried 2 times. I'll have to figure that out later. I don't want to lose those of you that are watching. Okay, so I'm going to grab my clips. And I love using sewing clips for this because it's so much easier than trying to stick a pin through the zipper. And I've seen in lots of sewing groups people asking about what kind of clips should they buy. Do they have to buy an expensive sort of name brand clip, or can they use just anything? These are one of the cheaper ones you can buy on Amazon. They come in this little tin. And I've had these for almost 3 years now, and only a couple have broken. And I use them almost daily. So I think it is just fine to buy the cheaper clips because mine have held up great with a lot of use and no problem with how they use. So anyway, that's just my 2 cents on clips and whether you have to buy the nice ones. So, okay, so a couple of things and then we'll get sewing. We're going to start by sewing the thin strip of fabric to the zipper. And what you want to do is enclose both ends of the zipper in the fabric. So with right sides together, I'm going to attach this one on this side and this one on this side. And you want to make sure that your zipper, and I clip it, is that the ends are staying close together, right? I don't want that to be all separated because then we'll have a hole in our bag. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna sew the zipper. We have a zipper sandwich, and then we'll do the other side as well. So actually, I think I'm just gonna move all over here by my sewing, and I think we can do most of it from over here, except for if we need to get up and get the iron, then we can do that. Okay, let's see, how do I turn this so you guys can see the sewing machine? Put it up a little bit. Okay, hopefully that works. Scoot this back a tiny bit in hopes of it's really sunny here as well, apparently. Oh, top of my head's cut off. Okay, whew, 20 adjustments. All right, so almost this whole project will be sewn using a zipper foot. So I'm going to go ahead and change my machine from the J foot, which I was using, to the I foot, which is for zippers. Okay, and then again, I have my fabric lined up, sandwiching the zipper, and kind of lining up with the zipper because this is going to be a circle. So I'm going to go ahead and sew on the right side of the zipper teeth. So we're not going to, oh goodness, someone must have played with that. I want the zipper teeth to be exposed all the way to the end. And when we fold this up, okay, we will see that now we have a zipper tab, but it's actually way longer than our normal zipper tabs on the end. And while I have this here, I'm just going to go ahead and top stitch. So now we have our top stitched zipper tab. Hi, Cindy. Oh, I love the jogger picture you showed, Cindy. That made me so happy. Plus, you look amazing. So that was really fun. Last week, I released a free women's jogger pattern, and Cindy made a really cute version of it that she shared in our pattern group. So you should check that out. Okay, so a couple of tips about now finishing the zipper. So what we want to do is we want to create a circle that is the same circumference or perimeter, since I guess it's a rectangle, of our fabric. But I did notice one thing on this case, and I mentioned this in my blog post, but the zipper ends right here at the corner, which when I am fabric is sticking out. Looks like I need to go back and re-top stitch that. When my computer is in there, this is a terrible spot to try and get around the corner of the computer and then have the zipper end right here at the corner. So let's not have the zipper end right at the corner. So I'm going to have it here about an inch above there, and then I want this to be long enough for it to be an inch above on the other side. So we're going to carefully sort of measure our zipper. Okay, and that's where we want it to end. And then we're going to measure this side of it. Because essentially we are creating a circle with the zipper. And we're going to use it to make the fully enclosed zipper on this part. Let's see. And then when we turn it, right side out. So we're creating another zipper sandwich, and I just want to make sure when I turn this right side out that it is indeed going to be not twisted. Let's see. Yeah, okay, so that's gonna lay flat. And I'm going to clip it, but then I'm gonna double check that this is actually the length I want. Now, I did give a way to create an adjustment on this even after you've sewn it, and that's in the tutorial, but it's way easier to get a good measurement now. So you could measure around, honestly, or now you can see I have this folded, and I'm going to measure it around to make sure it fits. Okay, again, I do not want it to be, oh, I don't want my zipper to end on the corners, so I'm trying to avoid that. Okay, sorry, you just have to, got my thought process going today, trying to think through this as I do it. Okay, so we're going to, again, stitch. This time we'll be stitching over the zipper teeth because I'm actually shortening the zipper. Oh, but what I didn't do, and no one caught it, look at where my zipper tab is. It's up here. So if I sew across the zipper and leave the zipper tab up there, then it will be on the wrong side of my stitching and we'll have to tear the whole thing out. So we definitely want to do that. So if you're shortening your zipper, make sure that you move the pull tab to inside the part of the zipper that you're actually going to keep. There's a novel idea. All right, let's try this again. And this time, like I said, you want to be careful. We're sewing over those zipper teeth. So I'm always bracing myself for a crunch, I feel like, when I'm sewing over zipper teeth. But thankfully, these are plastic teeth, so we were able to get away without any disasters. And then we're going to cut these off because we don't want that extra bulk inside our case. So we're going to top stitch again. So I pulled this open, and then we're going to top stitch close to that line. Again, going over the zipper teeth, back stitching. Okay, so we are creating this zipper circle, all right? So this is what we have, and this should match, like I said, the perimeter of the fabric that you have. And I have 2 pull tabs here going both directions. Okay, and there's our circle. So you could measure, which is probably what I should have done, gotten out my ruler and measured around, or like I did where I just sort of hop-knocked it. But that's probably not as accurate. I'm sure it's not as accurate than actually getting out the measuring tape. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to find the middle of the top of the zipper and the middle of the fabric. And we're going to use those middle placements to pin to one piece of fabric. So I usually start with the outside. So you would want to, my fabric is the same, lining and outside. But if your fabric was different, inside and outside, you'd want to find the center of one of the outside pieces, and then with right sides together. So right side of the zipper, meaning the zipper tab right side, the top of it gets matched to the right side of the fabric. And we're going to pin it. And then the same down here, it's not really a right or a wrong side because it's just our fabric pieces, but we're going to match that and we're going to clip it. So now we've got it in 2 places with the right sides matched. And we're going to pin or clip around now to put this in place, all on the right side of the fabric with the right side of the zipper. So my corners are eased, but essentially I'm going to turn my sharp cornered rectangle into a rounded cornered rectangle, just because, especially with this fat zipper that I have, there's no way that I will be able to make a sharp corner. It's just not going to happen with my sewing machine. Okay, so there's one side clipped on, and it matched perfectly, so my estimation of perimeter must have been fairly accurate. And now we're going around the other side again, hoping that it matches up. All right, and on this first one, we don't have to worry about leaving a zipper open or anything like that, because we can just turn it right side out. So after this, we have to really be aware of leaving a zipper open or a turning opening, because we have to turn things right side out when we're finished. So you can see that this is the right side, have the zipper clipped all the way around. This is the back side, the zipper is clipped all the way around. So the right side of the zipper, meaning the top of it, is clipped to the right side of the fabric. And what I'm going to do now is, with my zipper foot still on my machine, I'm going to stitch all the way around the outside of this little bag that I'm making. I'm going to stitch with the zipper up so that I can really see how close I'm getting to the teeth. And I don't want to be super close to the teeth, maybe 1/4 of an inch to 1/3 of an inch. But you do want to make sure you're catching both layers of the zipper and the fabric. And the tricky part is the corners, because this zipper tape is pretty thick and it actually doesn't really want to ease around the corners very well. So it's a little bit of a manipulation, and unfortunately this first one right here that I'm sewing is the easiest. It only gets trickier from here, because next time we sew this, we're going to have another layer of fabric on top of this. So it does get sort of trickier as you go, but we start off pretty simple by sewing around this first part of the bag. And what I've done is lined up the edge of my zipper tape with the end of the fabric to make sure that I have a good seam allowance here, so that hopefully everything will stay in place and not come undone. I'm going to move, this is a big fat zipper tab, so when I got to it on this one side, I actually moved it out of the way, because even with my zipper foot on, it's hard to get around when those zipper tabs are really bulky. And I'm pivoting at the corners. Okay, so pivoting at the corners and going around here. So now sewing the fabric bottom is much easier than sewing the zipper on the fabric. It just is less bulky. And at the corners, I'm trying to, again, sort of create that rounded corner, but then also having a pivot as I get around. And I'm going to lift again and move this zipper tab out of the way, because it's also a fat one. All right, and we're back around. Whew. Okay, one side of the zipper attached, 3 more to go. I don't feel like this is the most exciting thing, and I wasn't going to sew it live, but several of you did ask for help on creating this double enclosed zipper, and I did think maybe it would be easier to see it in action, even though it's kind of tedious to watch. So I will be downloading this and uploading this tutorial on to the tutorial for this pouch that I made. So if you want to check it out, there you can. All right, so now I want to cover the seam, right? Because it's kind of ugly and I don't want to see that. I just want to see fabric. So at this point, this is where it starts to get tricky because now we have to work around the zipper. So the last time we matched the right side of the fabric to the right side of the zipper. This time we're going to match the right side of the fabric to the wrong side of the zipper. And we are going to pin this all the way around. Now, like I mentioned, or clip it, I am trying this without the padding inside. And I'm going to, after I sew this, slip the padding inside and try to iron it in place. I don't know if that will work, and I may end up saying, that was a huge fail. You should definitely do it later. But if the padding is already in place, then while I'm doing this step right here, which is sewing the other layer of fabric on, I'm also working around the foam. And that just gives me another dimension of things that I'm fighting, because I'm already fighting the zipper. It doesn't necessarily want to tuck inside nicely. So let's see if we can do the foam in. If we can't do it on this side of the bag, we can always change it up for the other side, because this is just one side of the zipper that we're sewing, and the zipper has two sides. So I'm trying to line up the corners and then ease in the fabric from there to make sure that the fabric is on straight. And do make sure that you have part of your zipper open, although it doesn't really matter because we're going to have to leave a portion of this lining unsewn so that one, we can slide the foam in, and two, that we can turn it, because you can see right here that it's fully enclosing that zipper, which is what we want, but we want to be able to see the zipper when we're done. So if I sew all the way around this, I'm just going to end up with something I can't use. So I probably will leave this short side open, one of the short sides open for turning. Okay, so now with our zipper foot, we are going to go back and sew again the same zipper, but now with a new piece of fabric. So I have 3 layers here that I'm sewing. I have sorry, that zipper tab is in the way of me putting down my presser foot. We have fabric, the zipper, and another layer of fabric. We've already sewn the zipper to one layer of fabric, so now we are trying to create that sandwich. So this, the corners here are even trickier because now I can't see the zipper. I can only see that top layer of fabric. So I'm trying to do it by feel that zipper in there and sew around, and it's fine on the straightaways. And then again, we get to those corners and we have to pivot, and I kind of need to peek inside, push that zipper out of the way. And this is a big fat zipper, which I think looks great, but it also doesn't want to lay nicely because it's kind of big. So those are things to balance, I guess, when you're choosing your zipper. If you chose a zipper with a really soft zipper tape, it seems to me that it might be easier to sew, but I don't know if a zipper with a soft zipper tape, I don't know. I guess I haven't really looked. Softer zipper tape would definitely be easier to manipulate though, because when it's stiff here, it does not want to play nicely. Okay, so I'm almost back around, but again, I'm gonna top stitch, and I'm leaving a spot here to open this up. Oh, sorry, I'm missing what you guys are talking about because I'm too busy trying to sew my zipper. So hopefully you can take care of it, or I'll take a look at it when I'm done. All right, so here's both sides. Our zipper's on the inside. We did a little turning hole. So now we're gonna turn this right side out, and this is one side of our bag. Now, I will tell you right now, turning this is a lot easier without the foam. So one plus to not having the foam in already, but we're gonna go see if we can put it inside here in just a minute. Okay, so here is the right side of our zipper. And, I will have to go fix this. I caught part of the bottom in a seam. So we're gonna have to go rip that out. See how that is supposed to be like this, where it's tall and it's weird there. So I'm gonna have to go back inside and check that out. But otherwise, you can see that that looks good there on that. But what happened over here? What happened over here? Let's see, so let's unpick a little bit of what we just sewed and see if I can get that fabric to come back out. I'm really hoping it wasn't on the first part that I sewed. No, I see it here. Okay, so we need to just move this out of the way, I think. Yeah, so we got some extra fabric bunched in here that should not be folded over. It should be free when I turn it. Okay, so we're going to move that out of the way. You stay up there. You stay up there. And let's try this again. Around the corner. Okay, and then we're gonna turn it right side out, and hopefully our bottom is in a better spot because we wanna be able to put that foam in there, so we need the casing. All right, looks better, no weird bunches. And we have our opening here on the inside, right? So not on the outside, but on the inside. So let's see, can we put our foam in now? All right. So I'm gonna slide my ironing pad over here just a little bit. Yes, and now this is double side fusible foam, but you can also use single side fusible foam as well. So I'm going to round the corners because the corners of my pouch are rounded, and so I might as well not be fighting with square corners, square peg in a round hole, and see if we can put that in. So I want this to lay smooth, and I'm wondering, can I get it to lay smooth doing it this way? It definitely was smooth when I ironed it on before, but then, like I said, I was fighting with the foam the whole time. So what's the trade-off? I'm not sure. And the foam was cut smaller than my fabric to begin with because it needed the seam allowance. I'm going to put a couple of pins here. I'm folding that hole we left open. I'm folding over the edge of the fabric around the foam. Okay, so I think it looks pretty good. And we're gonna try to fuse this and see if it will lay nice and smooth. Okay, so this, like I said, this one is a double-sided fusible foam, so actually we can press it on both sides. You can also use a single side fusible foam. I did that on this one and it looked just fine. Oh, great. I ironed off the head of my pin. That's always lovely. Steam obviously makes the foam fuse faster. I didn't know there was any water in this iron, but apparently there is. Okay, so now here is one side of our little, gonna be a little Kindle case with the foam fused in. So it has a nice padding. While we're here, I'm gonna add this padding to here, this bottom. So I've got some extra fabric in here from when I folded it back. I'm actually gonna cut that out just for less bulk. And then on this side, I have part of the zipper that I didn't trim. So I'm also going to cut that out. I should have cut these out before I sewed it on. Would have been a lot easier. Make sure I don't cut anything I don't want to. And I'm gonna cut this thinner. I wanna make sure that it's thin enough that I have enough fabric to sew, right? Again, not fighting with the foam. And so we're gonna tuck it in there. And I think just to make it easier, I might just fuse this side and then it will stay in place while I go fuse the other side. So I'm just gonna fuse that corner and then we'll go along the bottom here. Yeah. Put a couple pins, hold this in place. And then I'm going to cut it because it's too long. I had just cut it approximate when I was cutting my foam. And I want to tuck it deep inside there because I need fabric to be able to sew to the other side of the zipper and I don't want that foam to get in the way. So trying to do it. So, all right, my take on fusing the foam now versus at the beginning. I definitely think it was worth it to add it here after. This bottom was, I think, a little bit of a headache to add it now. So I might have, with the tutorial, still put the thin strip of foam in when I did originally, which was before I started sewing. So after we had the zipper circle made, that's when I put the foam in, and that's what it says on the photo tutorial. And I think I might have liked that because I don't know if this is gonna lay really nicely, trying to put that foam in there and curve up on the edge, where when it was just already attached, it was quite a bit easier. Okay, so one final step before we move to the other side of this little bag is to top stitch here to sew closed our turning hole. And I'm actually gonna top stitch all the way around the bag, or all the way around here, because that will just add a nice little finish. And yeah, top stitching always looks nice. But of course I pinned on the inside and I want to top stitch on the outside. Okay, so I had to switch the placement of my zipper foot, but now I think I'm in action. And I'm top stitching on the top of the bag so that I can make sure that my stitching looks nice and even, especially around the corners, and I can keep track of that better if I'm top stitching on the side of the bag that we're actually gonna see. The inside I mean, you'll see it when you unzip it, I guess, to get your device out, but I'm not really worried about other people seeing it. So, okay, we're getting to this big zipper thing notch. I'm going to lift it and pull that around. That gets in my way. Okay, and back around. Okay, so there's our top stitching. And we fully enclosed both sides of one side of the zipper. Okay, so now, like I said, it only gets harder because we're going to be fighting with more fabric. So again, I will take a piece of fabric and we're going to find the center of the top and the center of the bottom. Probably should have just marked it straight on the zipper and left it. But we want to be able to match that. And again, if you have two different types of fabric, if your lining fabric is not the same, we're starting by doing the right side or the outer fabric again, because we are matching up with the right side of the zipper. So that's the side of the case that you will see on the outside. And we are going to pin or clip around, easing those corners like you did before. And this time, and I'll show you here in a minute, you're going to want to make sure that you leave part of the zipper open, because that is how we will turn this right side out after we sew. And I'll show you what I mean here in just a second. Okay, so see how this is clipped all the way on? But if we just unzip part of the zipper, that's what we can use to turn this part right side out, okay? So now we sew this again around, and I'm going to have to switch my zipper foot back to the other side. Let's see, I want to sew it on the zipper side, I think that's better. But of course, I mean, you can choose to do this with whatever side up. If you like looking at the fabric, if you like looking at the zipper, up to you. Again, it's a bit of zipper manipulation. And I find that these thick zippers don't always want to play nice, but I'm making it. I can be stronger than a zipper, right? And just make sure that you do catch some of the fabric on the underneath as well as the zipper when you're sewing, or you'll have weird holes in what you're doing. Okay, going around a corner. This is probably why I didn't really want to sew this live, because I feel like it's so tedious and it just is me fighting with it. But if this can help to show you what it's actually like and give you confidence to try, then it's worth me fighting with a zipper live for you to see. But I don't know if it's really very fun to watch, but you guys are hanging in there, so I super appreciate you, and I really do hope this gives someone who otherwise would have been nervous to try this sort of zipper, I hope it gives you confidence, and then it will be worth it for me to have done this. Okay, so before I turn this out, I just want to look on this side to make sure that I did catch the fabric, and there's just a little bit right here where I got a little bit far out, so I'm just going to go over that again. Right, we don't want any weird holes, so just double check that. And then we're going to turn it right side out to see. Aw, thank you, Dee Dee. I'm actually going to just unzip it, and then I can use this to turn it right side out. Oh. So actually from the right side, it's looking super awesome. Okay, so our zipper is right on that edge, but not on the corner, which is what we were trying to avoid. It looks great around here. And then again, this one is on that edge, but not right on the corner. So, okay, we're looking good, ladies. And I don't know if any gentlemen are watching, but okay, so this last step is the hardest and trickiest, but we're gonna do it, okay? We're gonna do it. I will also say, one note while I'm thinking of it, sewing the larger laptop case was easier than trying to make a Kindle because the corners are bigger, right? So if you look at this larger case, I didn't have to make such a sharp corner with the zipper just because of the size. So if you're just going to start out, you might want to start with a larger rectangle that you're sewing. It just might make it easier. So just a thought as you're getting started. Okay, so now I have to think about what I need to do to enclose this zipper. Okay, so we are actually now going to place our last piece of fabric with the right side of the fabric touching the wrong side of the zipper, but that also means that everything else on this case has to fit the bands on tops that are open on the sides, like the one you have on. Like this, a top. This is like a sweater from Old Navy, and I don't know exactly how, I mean, it's not even folded over, so I'm not sure if that's what you're talking about, but maybe you can elaborate. Okay, so this is the side we just sewed, and now on the opposite side, to be able to enclose it, we actually have to put our fabric touching our edge that was finished, okay? The bottom of this. Sorry, I'm confused. Maybe I missed something. All right, so I am again going to clip this. I've left part of the zipper open because we're also going to leave part of the fabric unsewn, but we also need to be able to turn it right side out using the open zipper. So make sure you leave part of that open. I'm gonna leave this side here open. So I'll just sew a little bit around the corner on both sides. Your top bottom band. Oh, on this. Is this that's split on the sides? Yeah, so again, okay, this is a sweater, but if you check out the free pattern that I just did, the women's sweatshirt tunic, I put on a split band on the bottom, and you could apply that to any pattern. You wouldn't have to use it on the sweatshirt tunic. So if you want to know how to make a split bottom band, go check it out. It's on there. Okay, So this is where I feel like, again, I'm fighting the fabric because it doesn't really want to stretch over 2 other pieces of fabric plus foam. It doesn't, want to fit. It definitely feels like it's a stretch. So, yep, fighting with the fabric, clipping it in place. Oofda. Got some fabric or something down my throat. But you could definitely check out, and it shows you how to make a split bottom band on a shirt. And I love it. It's a great look, isn't it? Okay, we're almost around. Got to keep that zipper out of the way. We'll know when we turn this right side out if we did a good job. Okay, so here it's stretched. It's a little deformed because we have all of that stuff shoved up in there, and it doesn't really want to bend because it's got foam and it's got zippers and it doesn't like being in there. So that's what we have. And now we have to sew again. So I'm gonna sew around, leaving this section open for turning. We're gonna turn it right side out, and then we'll be able to also open it using the zipper opening that we left. So, wish me luck on a good result here. And I always like to backstitch where I'm starting and stopping because that's going to be the turning hole, which means it's going to get some force applied as I'm turning the fabric, right? Because we kind of stretch it a little bit as we turn. So that corner did not want to hold the fabric. I'll have to come back and see if I need to stitch that again. If you need, again, to lift your fabric and sort of look, is the zipper out of the way? Are things folded over as far as they can be? Then do that. But this fabric, as soon as I take the clips out, is sort of pulling away, and I don't want it to do that. So, because it says I'm being stretched. So I might have to go back and re-sew a couple of areas, especially on the corners. I'm just folding this up to try and get the fabric to move where I want it to be. Not trying to hide anything from you guys. But I do see, yeah, there's a couple of spots here where it just really is not secure, although I'm wondering when I top stitch around if I can just fold those under. So I'm gonna just open this. There's a couple spots where it just barely caught the fabric, but I am gonna top stitch around this, so that should reinforce it in place if we can pin it and get it to look okay. So let's turn this right side out and see if it's okay and we can make it work, because some of those spots just really don't want to sew any closer. Okay, so remember, we also, if you sew this all the way, if you leave the zipper all the way shut, it'll look pretty, but you'll have no way to open your bag. So make sure you leave the zipper partway open so that you can go and fix that. Okay, so I'm thinking we can fold those areas under and then just top stitch when we get to that spot. So here's the inside and here's the outside. And I'm going to put the foam in, and then we'll come back and top stitch to finish. All right. So again, we're here to press it, and I'm going to, like I did last time, curve the corners. I think it just makes it easier to put it in. And I have my hole that I left. I like to usually fold the foam in half. And tuck it in place. And you want it to lay as smoothly as possible. Now I'm going to take my pins, and this time I'm going to do a better job of moving the pin heads out of the way. So when I iron, I don't melt any pin heads off. But I am going to pin closed the opening that I left, and I'm also going to go around and pin closed any of those places I can see, like that I said it was hard for me to catch both layers of fabric. Okay, so there's a little spot here. Pin that closed. There's a little spot here on those corners. It was getting just really tricky because I had to stretch it so far over. I just didn't really want that. Again, this is on the inside of the bag, so you know me, I'm not as concerned about how things look on the inside. I know some of you like your things to be beautiful on the inside and the out, and I'm kind of like, if it looks good on the outside, I'm good to go. So the outside is what we sewed on first, so we don't have such a problem with that. It was this inside that we sewed on second. But now we're ready to fuse the foam in place. And we'll fuse it both on the inside and the outside because we did use double side fusible foam, which means we can fuse it 2 places. And then we'll go top stitch around and we're finished. So this turned out really great. I hope you think so. I think it turned out really great. I didn't bring my Kindle down, but I think it looks, I mean, I have the measurements and I think it looks like a great little Kindle size. Okay, so our final step is to top stitch. And again, I want to top stitch on the outside of the bag so that I can keep track of the stitches and make sure they look pretty. Now, because we can't really open this all the way because the bottom is shut, on this side, I usually end up only top stitching where the zipper is. It's just too hard to get in there. But you could fight it and get in all the way around and top stitch. So it's up to you how much you really want to battle your fabric and the foam. But I'm just going to really top stitch from one side of the zipper to the other because it really seems like that's enough, and it's easier. It's trickier to get the other part. Okay, and I'm pulling out the pins as I come to them. And again, these pins were holding in place some of those spots where I maybe didn't catch the fabric fully or only caught it a little bit. So I'm going to turn the bag inside out here so I can hopefully get down here past these pull tabs. But once we start crunching on the pull tabs, it gets kind of tricky. But the other thing we could do, because this is a double bag, is we could move the pull tabs to the other side. Ooh, let's do that. And then we can get in here and stitch a little bit farther down. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is finished. So you can trim your threads for your top stitching. See what else you got, but here is your case. So cute, right? Double enclosed zipper. And like I did on my laptop one, I had created a pocket on this side first and then assembled it like I did. So it's up to you. Oh boy, pins with silicone ends, you can iron over them. That's a great idea. And opens it up. And if you want room for your like charger or other things in your pouches, you could just make a bigger allowance around or put a big pocket on one side. This is a really simple, just foam sleeve with no pockets or any fluff on it, but padded on all sides, including the bottom. So hopefully a protective cover that you can use for your device. So there you go. I hope you guys enjoyed this and see that it's not easy, but it turns out really cute and it's worth sort of fighting with the zipper and these big tabs for the cute look that you get when you're finished, right? Okay, that's it for now. I will see you guys next week with another fun sewing tutorial and I hope you have a great rest of your week. Bye.